Hi guys, welcome to Goat Rodeo Gaming. I am a former Union Pacific conductor who has some experience running trains. I'm not going to claim to be an engineer, I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but I have run trains and I do understand the basics. And today I want to put this train simulator through some tests to see if the physics are realistic or not. See if it's actually a train simulator. Simulates running a real train with real physics, with slack and all that good stuff. My goal is not to criticize people that play this game or to make fun of anybody. My goal is just simply to see if this is a legitimate simulation of running a train. So, let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. First thing I'm going to try to do is break the train in half. We'll put that forward. And release the brakes. So what I'm looking for is the train to roll in or out. If it has slack for on any sort of grade, it'll roll in or out. Okay, so first of all, not seeing any slack. The whole thing just kind of moved at the same time as the car before it, and I'm sure the car before that. Alright, so now that we got the train rolling backwards, this is a perfect scenario to just throttle up and see if we can break it in half. Let's do that. Full throttle, straight to run 8. Okay, so they have the sound of slack, but I didn't physically, or visually I should say, see any slack. And we're moving with no issues. Okay, that's a big red flag for me. First of all, this is a auto rack train, very long drawbars, very easy to break in half compared to a, say, normal manifest train, or even easier to run would be an intermodal train. So, yeah, this thing would rip in half instantaneously. You have to be very gradual with throttling up. And you can literally feel the cars catching. What I mean by catching is the train stretching out. And a lot of times, if you really pay attention, you can feel each car catch and stretch out. And that's because of the slack, the long drawbars in these auto racks. And yeah, not seeing that whatsoever. So how about we just throw it in the full dynamics and see what that does. So what we would see with this is we would see the train slack run in, because now the cars are free rolling, there's no air brakes on, but the locomotives, they're slowing down. So you have a conflict of the locomotive slowing down and the rest of the train being all the rail cars not. So you would get very bad running right here, and potentially even a derailment. So not seeing any kind of slack still, and I can tell we're gradually slowing, but still not to the point of, when it comes to slowing down by the dynamics, very weak on this game. I mean, these SD70s are known to have weak dynamics, but this would be pretty poor, pretty weak. So if there was theoretically no slack in a train whatsoever and you were throwing the full dynamics like that, you would probably slow down a little quicker than this, and plus this section of track is going uphill. So, alright, well, let's transition back. That's easier. This time, we will stop using full independent brakes. Now, we're going to get going up to pretty good speed, maybe 40-50 miles an hour. And then I'm going to slam independent all the way up, full independent, and this would 100% probably, well, I don't want to claim 100%, but this would, it's safe to say, derail the train, or at least break it in half and cause very violent run-in slack, which would literally throw you around in this cab. I mean, I've had a engineer almost put me through the window by applying the independent when we were doing like 5 miles an hour. So I couldn't imagine if you were doing 50 miles an hour if you just 100% wham. If yeah, I mean, it would just, you'd go through the window. If anything, that'd be the best case scenario. The train would probably derail in some way, shape, or form. So, get this puppy up. So I'll go around this bend right here. Still kind of going uphill. Now another thing I noticed is, played this game a little bit beforehand, and the air recovers very quickly, which one thing is also not realistic about this game, because there's always small air leaks throughout the train. Depending on the length of the train, it takes longer to build up the air again. So yeah, that's one of my observations as well. Very weak dynamics. Your air comes back extremely quickly. So I'm just gonna keep going. Screw it. Let's get up to 60 and then we'll slam on the independent. So the independent brake is much stronger than the dynamics because there's literal brake pads going up against the wheel. And locomotive brakes are just generally a lot better than the brake on each rail car. And when you stop these locomotives much quicker than the train can stop like that, just stop abruptly, that's where you get the run-in slack, and the cause of the derailment is the rest of the train, being the rail cars with no air brakes on, slamming into now the locomotives who are stopping way quicker than the rest of the train. So, alright, we're looking pretty good. Let's just full tilt. Alright. Zero on the throttle. We're in idle. Full dynamics. And, yeah, like I suspected, nothing's happening. It's basically just like we just throttled off. We're just rolling down into Hodge. By the way, at Hodge right here, a good engineer would give it a minimum set, 6 or 7 pounds of air on the automatic brake, because this is a dip in real life. And when you come through here, if you don't do something, the rest of the train will run in at you. Because you start going uphill and the rest of the train is still going downhill, which causes you to get some run-in. So what they do is they give a minimum set back there, and then they throttle up and stretch the train out, and they come up the other side of this dip. Then once you get up here a ways, then you knock it off, and you just keep going. Depending on the length of the train, depends on the timing of setting the air brakes and knocking them off. So yeah, it seems like the independent brake does not exist, so we will take that off. So I'm not really sure what else I can do at this point. I mean, the physics are extremely unrealistic, so I don't think doing really anything further would be beneficial. I mean, I could start on a grade and see if I get some wheel slip. Because if you're stretched out, guys, if you stop stretched out, so you're using the automatic brake, the air brakes, to stop the train rather than dynamics, you can throttle up pretty quickly because the train's already stretched out, so it's already got tension on it. Whereas if you stop bunched up with the dynamics, you got to be more careful when you get going again because the train is not stretched out, it's most likely bunched. So I think what I'll do is I'll start myself on a grade, and then we will see if we get some wheel slip. So let's back out of this. Okay. And this thing. No, I don't want to replay. So I believe this is Train Simulator 2022. I bought this a few years ago, but it seems like they kind of all lump into the rest. I'm not really sure if there's been any updates with the physics. I don't believe so. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. Okay. So we will start at Victorville. And at the summit. Victorville's got a good grade coming out of it. So the outer racks. Another thing too to keep in mind is SD70s are a DC unit, so much more wheel slip than let's say an AC. AC unit's got great traction control and wheel slip software and all that good stuff. Alright, where are we going? Once again, here we go. Now, also, how quickly we just got going is very unrealistic. Even if I were to do that, I mean, we'd spin out on the rail. You get wheel slip right there. Hands down, 100%. This would more replicate if we were like pretty much light power with some weight behind it. And even light power, I don't think you could just throttle up like that, to say the least. Oh yeah, the good old Mojave River over here. It's full of bums. And yeah, it's totally trashed. It's a shame. So about a mile will be on a grade. I'll stop. Then I'll just grip it and rip it and see if we can get some wheel slip. Through here is a pretty neat section of the route. There's a nice farm off to the left, which then has some pastures to the left. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, I apologize. To the right, there's a nice farm, which it's kind of depicting. And to the left, some nice pastures. Really beautiful part of the route. And when you come through here, you don't feel like you're in Southern California anymore. It's rural. Can't really see too many houses. Very nice. Alright, so we're going to start hitting the grade here. Pass the signals. The sound is pretty accurate, the sound coming from the locomotive, so gotta give it that. Besides that, the most realistic physics on this game would probably be the dynamic brakes. Just because the SD70s are known for having really weak dynamics. But even these dynamics seem a little weaker than in real life, but that's really the only thing I've found so far. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop at full dynies. Which you would never do that, by the way. couldn't tell by my explanations before. So we'll stop at full 90s and then we'll just rip it. Now, doing this on a grade, we would definitely stop faster than this. But, hey, whatever. Hey, my old seat. Can't believe how clean this cab is. I've never seen a UP locomotive with this clean of a cab. Unbelievable. There should be some rust everywhere. Trash. Just, yeah, they're bad. They are bad. The toilet's probably already 3/4 of the way full, so it just reeks. Yeah, this is taking a really long time to stop. But hey. I definitely preferred this control setup. I like the old school tower. Whatever the technical term is for that control stand, but yeah, these are definitely a little easier. Wow. This is something. Yeah, definitely the physics, even going uphill, very poor. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Yep. So now the end of the train is even on a grade. I think it was about a 1% grade here, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, no slack. No wheel slip. And we're just taking off. Like we're hardly on a hill. Yeah, you know, this isn't a knock on anybody who wants to play this game, or even the developers of the game. You know, I'm not trying to be critical just to be critical. I legitimately wanted to see that the physics on this game are within the ballpark, at least, because to me running a train was awesome. Got all this weight, and you can feel all of it. You can feel all of it when you're sitting in that seat, and it's quite intimidating. You know, you got to be on your game. You're constantly checking air pressures, constantly checking how much power the locomotive's putting out. There's just a lot of responsibility, and it's very mental, like playing a game of chess. It's very easy for the train to start driving you rather than you driving the train. So it's fun. It's a great challenge, especially for anybody out there that likes operating heavy equipment, or, you know, just likes driving, likes racing any kind of vehicles. This is like one of the ultimate challenges of operating equipment. So, having said that, I would love to find a game that can replicate that to a fairly realistic way. And yeah, this game just ain't it. You know, if you want to use this game to see the routes in their entirety, I totally get that. Maybe this game would be better for like passenger service. You know, passenger trains don't have too much slack. They start and stop very quickly, so that might be more useful. But yeah, I'd have to give this game an F rating on the physics. So, hey, take it how you want. Keep playing it if you want. It's totally fine. I don't care. You know, I'm interested in the railroad just like all you guys. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this gave you some insight. And feel free to ask any railroad questions. Leave a comment. Um, Comment if maybe there's a setting that I can change to where the physics are more realistic. Um, and suggest any other games for me to review. I would love ideas. I'd love to review these games for you so I can give you an accurate review and picture of how these games are compared to the real life thing. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and we'll see you next time.